Before December 26, 2004, not many knew what the tsunami was. The awareness came at a huge price. Many lives were lost and villages destroyed by the killer waves of the tsunami. Many coastal villages in the states of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh bore the brunt of nature's fury. The devastation following the tsunami pushed many people deeper into poverty. They had little left, be it family or assets. Responding to the emergency as part of its organizational mandate, Coir began its relief operations in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. The immediate relief phase consisted of building permanent shelters, restoring water and sanitation facilities, providing psychosocial care, spreading awareness about disaster preparedness. We also made provisions for assets essential for livelihood such as boats, fishing nets. Still, the road to recovery was very long. Our experience and studies of both fisheries and non-fisheries livelihood sectors revealed several gaps in production quality and quantity, business skills and access to markets, which affected the livelihoods of coastal communities. Coir began a long-term livelihood initiative where projects to bridge these gaps were designed and implemented. The livelihood initiative followed a value chain approach where every stage from production through to processing, marketing and final consumption of various commodities was assessed, and areas where efficiency could be improved were taken up to work with. We identified the most vulnerable groups such as small-scale fishing and farming households, tribal communities and occupationally marginalized groups engaging in coir production, salt production and backwater fishing. We worked along with these groups to gain a better understanding of their needs and to respond to them in the best possible way. We brought together a diverse range of relevant stakeholders such as government agencies, banks and NGOs. We now implement 22 livelihood projects through 16 local partner NGOs who work closely with more than 6,000 households.
Coir works with the most marginalized and vulnerable communities like Dalits, irregular tribals, salt pan workers, marginal farmers, women-headed households. Coir implements the livelihood initiatives through community-based institutions like self-help groups and community federations. This approach not only helps to ensure mutuality and also accountability, but also ensures that they are able to move forward collectively so that they are able to negotiate with markets and also institutions for their entitlements and rights and getting a fair deal for their livelihood services. In the process, we are able to mainstream the livelihood participants to financial services, market services, technical services and business development services.
Today, after 2 years of sustained engagement, the fruits of labor are visible all over. In Krishna district in Andhra Pradesh, women agricultural laborers have supplemented their income by selling milk. Now, they not only own cattle, but also know how to raise them, grow fodder, cope with diseases, milk the animals, and manage the sale of milk.
మాకు ఇదివరకే కూలి పని చేసుకునేవాళ్ళం. రోజంతా చేసినా 30 రూపాయలు వచ్చేవి కాదు. మాకు జీవనోపాధి గడిచేది కాదు. మాకు క్రాస్ వారు కేర్ వారు కలిసి ఐఓబి బ్యాంక్ ద్వారాగా 2 గేదెలను ఇచ్చారు. మాకు పశువుల డాక్టర్ ద్వారాగా శిక్షణ ఇప్పించారు. వాటిని ఎలా చూసుకోవాలి ఏంటని. అట్టా మేము శుభ్రంగా గేదెలని మేపుకుని వాటికి ఏం కావాలో చూసుకుని వాటి ద్వారాగా పాలు పిండుకొని కేంద్రానికి పోసుకుని బ్యాంకులకి రీపేమెంట్ కట్టుకుని మేము మంచి ఆదాయం పొందుతున్నాం. ఇప్పుడు మా జీవనోపాధి బాగానే ఉంది.
Individual women have found strength in unity. They have formed milk producers cooperatives to facilitate the collection and sale of milk. The Milk Producers Committee also operates a feed shop where women can access nutritious supplementary feed for better milk production. Local volunteers are trained to provide minimum basic veterinary care to the animals. Training in technical skills like this as well as other areas such as entrepreneurship development, accounts management, and technical training forms an integral part of the livelihood initiative.
పశువు పాలు ఎట్లా ఇస్తుంది, పశువు యొక్క ఆరోగ్య పరిస్థితి ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, ఆరోగ్య పరిస్థితుల్లో ఏదైనా తేడా వచ్చినప్పుడు నా వంతు నేను నా చేతైన పరిధిలో సూచనలు సలహాలు ఇచ్చి ప్రాథమిక వైద్యం కొరకు కొంతవరకు నా ప్రయత్నం చేసి మిగిలిన విషయంలో పక్కన డాక్టర్ గారు సలహా తీసుకుని క్యాంప్ ఏర్పాటు చేసి ఆ క్యాంపులో పశువుకి సీజన్ వారి ఇంజక్షన్లు చేయించడం అనేది కూడా మేము మా డ్యూటీ చేస్తాము.
ఇన్సూరెన్స్ ఉండడం వల్ల మన గేదెల జరుగు దేనికైనా సరే క్లెయిమ్ సెటిల్ చేసుకోవడానికి దానివల్ల అవగాహన కూడా కల్పిస్తాను.
Our livelihood projects brings together various agencies. In this case, banks provided loans to buy buffaloes, while training has been provided by the Department of Animal Husbandry, and private dairies market the milk. The success of CARE's livelihood projects goes well beyond the dairy cooperatives. In other places, like Prakasam district, we reach out to occupationally marginalized groups who are excluded due to the nature of their work. Using salty seawater or underground brine to produce salt, these workers are engaged in salt production for 7 months in a year. They work for daily wages during the remaining months. While they work on the salt pans, they are exposed to harsh weather conditions. Occupational hazards such as the glare from the salt crystals and absorption of salt through their skin affects their eyesight and blood pressure. We are working with them to introduce better conditions for the workers, more equitable returns for their work, and improved techniques for salt production. We have introduced another innovative way of providing safety nets to the salt producers. Through an index-based insurance product, we safeguard them against loss of produce due to the erratic rainfall. This has increased their resilience to losses incurred due to natural calamities.
ఈ ఉప్పు ఉత్పత్తి చేసే పీరియడ్లో ఇక్కడ తుఫాన్లు రావడం అనేది సాధారణ విషయం. వాళ్ళు 2 విషయాల్లో నష్టపోతారు. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు ఉప్పు చేసిన ఉప్పుని నష్టపోతారు. రెండోది వచ్చేసి ఆ పీరియడ్ ఆ వారం 10 రోజులను కూడా వాళ్ళు నష్టపోతారు. ఈ 2 విషయాలను దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని ఎయిర్ ఇండియా వెదర్ రిస్క్ సంస్థతో కలిసి ఒక ఇండెక్స్ బేస్డ్ ఇన్సూరెన్స్ ప్రోడక్ట్ని డిజైన్ చేయడం జరిగింది. సుమారు 650 మంది రైతులు ఇప్పటి వరకు ఇన్సూరెన్స్ స్కీమ్లో కొనుగోలు చేయడం జరిగింది. సో భవిష్యత్తులో సుమారు 3,000 మంది రైతుల దాకా చేరే అవకాశం ఉంది.
As a result of the engagement with the salt producers, they now process the salt by crushing it and packaging it appropriately. Iodine is added if the salt is to be used for human consumption. This processed and packaged salt is now ready for the market instead of being sold to middlemen as raw material at a lower price. Tying up gaps in the salt value chain has led to producers being involved in processing, packaging, and selling the salt. This gives them control over a larger part of the salt value chain and brings better returns.
ఇదివరకే మా ఉప్పుని బయట ఉండేటువంటి భూస్వాములు, పెట్టుబడిదారులు అనేటువంటి ఉప్పు కొనుగోలుదారులు, బయటి వ్యాపారస్తులు మమ్మల్ని బాగా తక్కువ రేటుకి కొనుగోలు చేసేవాళ్ళు. దాంతో మేము పెట్టిన ఖర్చులు కానీ మేము పండించిన ఉప్పుకి ఏమాత్రం గిట్టుబాటు లేక బాగా తీవ్రంగా నష్టపోయేవాళ్ళమే. ఆ ప్రాజెక్టులో మిషన్లో మా ఉప్పుని క్రషింగ్ చేసి ఇతర వ్యాపారస్తులకు అమ్ముకోవడానికి, బయట ట్రేడర్స్కి అమ్ముకోవడానికి మాకు అవకాశం ఏర్పడింది. ఈరోజు మేము సొసైటీ సభ్యులు, రైతులే రేటుని నిర్ధారించే స్థితికి ఈరోజు మేము రావటం జరిగింది. ఇప్పుడు మేమే స్వచ్ఛందంగా బయట మార్కెట్లకి, అట్లాగే హైదరాబాదు, రాజమండ్రి, కాకినాడ, మహానంది, కర్నూలు ఇట్లాంటి బయట దూర ప్రాంత ట్రేడర్స్కి మేము ఉప్పు వ్యాపారస్తులకి ఈ పౌడరు అవసరమైనటువంటి వ్యక్తులకి మేము మా సొసైటీ నుంచే డైరెక్ట్గా మేము లారీలతోటి లోడ్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. కేరు ప్రాజెక్టు మాకు సహాయం అందించడం వల్ల ఒక బ్యాగ్ వచ్చి పౌడరు 150 రూపాయలకి మేము సప్లై చేయగలిగాం. దాంట్లో అన్ని ఖర్చులు, రవాణా, ట్రాన్స్పోర్టు, లేబర్ ఛార్జీ, అట్లాగే ముఠా కార్మికుల ఛార్జీ మొత్తం పాను మాకు నికరంగా ఒక బ్యాగ్ వచ్చి 40-45 రూపాయలు మాకు మిగిలి.
A small group of producers is trying out new production techniques to improve the quality of salt. Here salt is produced in a larger pan, which requires less labor to prepare, and the brine is changed every time salt is harvested, resulting in production of higher quality and quantity. Demonstration of these techniques in the field offers a model for other producers to adopt and use in the next production season.
కేర్ ఇండియా సంస్థ సాల్ట్ సంస్థ వాళ్ళు ఇద్దరు కలిపి మాకు 10 ఎకరాలు సాల్ట్ మోడల్ ఫాన్ పద్ధతిలో కొటారి చేయించారు. పాత పద్ధతిలో ఎకరానికి 15,000 రూపాయలు ఖర్చు అయ్యింది. ఇప్పుడు కొత్త పద్ధతిలో ఎకరానికి 10,000 రూపాయలు ఖర్చు అయ్యింది. పాత పద్ధతిలో కంటే కొత్త పద్ధతిలో దిగుబడి ఎక్కువగా ఉంది. పాత పద్ధతిలో ఎకరానికి 40 బస్తాలు వస్తుంది. కొత్త పద్ధతిలో 50 నుంచి 60 బస్తాలు దిగుబడి వస్తుంది. మార్కెటింగ్ కూడా బాగుంది. సాల్ట్ కూడా చాలా బాగా వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు రైతులందరూ కూడా కొత్త పద్ధతిని పాటిస్తున్నారు.
What is unique in the livelihood projects related to animal husbandry and salt is that we have been able to address the entire value chain, right from training, institution building, establishing linkages with the financial institutions and marketing. We have involved the local stakeholders very intensively in terms of providing technical inputs, leveraging assistance from the government schemes.
In some places, we have improved the processes and outcomes of livelihood activities that the community is already engaged in, while elsewhere, we have introduced new avenues for livelihoods by building on the traditional skills of the communities. One such initiative is the crab fattening project in Cuddalore district.
This Irula community belongs to scheduled tribe. They are the marginalized and economically vulnerable sections. They are mainly depending on backwater, and their livelihood from this source is very less. Therefore, alternative livelihood opportunities like crab fattening, crab rearing is very much essential. This is the first step towards uplifting their life and economic as well as social standard.
The Irula community has been traditionally involved in fishing and catching shrimps in the backwaters of the sea. This livelihood brings meager income. They are often deprived of government compensations and are a socially marginalized group. Crab rearing and fattening was identified as a viable alternative to their regular livelihood. This required technical training provided by a specialist in this science with support from Coir, the Government Department of Fisheries and the Asian Development Bank. The training was given to fisherwomen's collectives, which operates in groups of 12, sharing cost and labor efficiently.
நண்டுக்கு தீனி எப்படி போடுறது, அது எப்படி வளர்க்குறது, அது எப்படி பிடிச்சி விற்கணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு எல்லாம் அவங்க பயிற்சி சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க. அதை வச்சு நாங்கள் அதேமாதிரி செய்கிறோம். அதில் கணக்கு எத்தனை கிராமு எத்தனை காக்கில் நிற்குது, அரைக்கில் நிற்குது, அதெல்லாம் நாங்கள் நோட்டில் எழுதி வச்சுருக்குறோம். எங்களுக்கு பயிற்சி கொடுத்தாங்க. அதை வச்சு நாங்கள் முன்னேறி இப்போ நாங்கள் நல்லா இருந்துகிட்ருக்குறோம்.
With support from the Asian Development Bank, these pens were constructed and seed loan was given to begin crab fattening as a livelihood activity. The brackish backwater provided an ideal environment for the fattening of crabs. The Fisherwomen's Collective purchased crabs from the markets in Chidambaram, Chennai and Cuddalore town. The crabs are fattened in pens in the backwaters or in cages. The women feed them trash fish and the crabs are ready to be sold after 25 days. The crabs are bought from the women at a princely sum of Indian rupees 400 or $8 per kilo, bringing about a net profit of about $2 per crab. The women's pride in their enterprise shines through their eyes. Women of this community now directly access the markets and negotiate fair deals with traders. Some even imagine their products reaching the international market, as crab is a global delicacy. Facilitating sustainable agriculture is another area of Coir's work. Small-scale agriculture has become a precarious livelihood for many farmers in Nagapattinam due to water scarcity. The spread of saline water after the tsunami made the soil unfit for cultivation of rice and other food crops traditionally grown by these farmers. Coir and its partner NGOs together designed a project to teach the farmers new techniques of agriculture. Building local capacities for improved production has been an important strategy. At the farmers' field schools, farmers learn practical techniques through hands-on training.
Coir India நிறுவனமோ பீடா தொண்டு நிறுவனமோ எங்களுக்கு விவசாயத்துறையை பற்றி குறைந்த செலவு பண்ணி எப்படி அதிக மகசூல் அடைகிறதுங்கிறத பற்றி விளக்கம் கொடுத்தாங்க. விதைச்செலவு மிக குறைவுங்கிறத புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு நான் ஒத்த நாட்டு முறையை பின்பற்றி விவசாயம் செய்திருந்தேன். இந்த ஒற்றை நாட்டு முறையை கையாளுறதுனால களை எடுக்கிற கூலி, நடுற கூலி, நாற்றுப்பறி கூலி போன்றவை மிக குறைச்ச. காவிரி டெல்டா மாவட்டத்தில் தண்ணி குறைந்ததாக இருக்கிறதுனால நீர் செலவு ரொம்ப குறைச்சங்கிறது ரொம்ப மிக அவசியமாக போச்சு எங்களுக்கு. வயல்வெளி பள்ளிகள் நடத்தினாங்க. அப்படி பள்ளிகள் நடத்தி எங்களுக்கு எப்படியெல்லாம் உரமேலீடு செய்கிறதுங்கிறத பற்றி விளக்கம் அளித்தாங்க. நான் ஒற்றை முறையில் அதிக மகசூல் அடைஞ்சதை பார்த்து எங்களுடைய கூட்டமைப்பில் இருக்கிற விவசாயிகள் அதிகம் பேர் ஒற்றை முறையை பின்பற்றி விவசாயம் செய்து அதிக லாபம் பெற்றிருக்கிறாங்க.
Crop rotation was an effective technique that these farmers are now using to rejuvenate the soil. The rice crop was followed by black gram crop, used locally for human consumption as well as animal fodder. After rejuvenation of the soil, a third crop of vegetables followed. With advice from the local agricultural university, the farmers were able to learn and apply best practices for vegetable cultivation instead of leaving their land fallow. They not only benefit individually, but have also been able to lobby the government to compensate them for losses due to cyclonic winds and heavy rains through the Strong Farmers Federation.
We are promoting organic methodology to cultivate the crops and getting more yield. The other crops are not cultivated in this area because of the irrigation problem. So we are promoting crop rotation process. First paddy crops, second one groundnut, third one is black gram and vegetables and fish rearing. These are the integrated farming methodology. Adopt this project to implement among the farmers.
Another coastal community that is often marginalized and finds it difficult to eke out a living from their livelihood is that of the coir producers in Kanyakumari. Coir producers have long been engaged in making rope out of coconut husks, using traditional processes and equipment. Aid after tsunami, provided to many coastal households, completely bypassed this community, and the disaster left them struggling to make ends meet. Coir, in partnership with a local NGO, designed a project to improve the livelihoods of this community through making products of higher value and accessing better markets. The producers formed trusts through which they were able to access financial capital for their small businesses. This helped them recover from indebtedness to local money lenders who charged exorbitant amounts of interest. The financial capital made available to the producers helped them to produce coir rope steadily and sell it periodically for a more consistent income.
വട്ടി കാശെടുത്ത് നട്ടും ആ വട്ടി കൊടുക്കാനും നിവർത്തിയില്ല, മക്കളെ തീറ്റിപ്പോറ്റാനും നിവർത്തിയില്ലാത്ത ഒരു പരുവത്തിലായിരുന്നപ്പോൾ ഈ CDG-കാരനും എയർ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനുമായിട്ട് വന്നു. അവരായിട്ട് കൊടുത്താൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറച്ച് പൈസയുടെ സഹായം ചെയ്തു. ആ സഹായത്തിന് പ്രകാരം ഞങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ആദ്യം 25 രൂപ ശമ്പളം ആയിരുന്നു എങ്കിൽ തന്നെ ഇപ്പം അവർ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു 50 രൂപ ശമ്പളം കിട്ടേണ്ട നിലപാടിലെത്തി. CDE-കാരനും കെയർ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനും വന്നതിന് ശേഷം ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊരു ഐക്യത ഉണ്ടായി. പിന്നെ അതിനുശേഷം ബാങ്കുമായിട്ട് ഇടപെടാനും 55 രൂപ സ്റ്റാമ്പ് പൈസ അടയ്ക്കാനും ബാങ്കുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെടാനുള്ള സാധ്യത ഉണ്ടായി.
New equipment and skills provided to a smaller group of young women within this community has helped them add value to the rope by producing mats and other crafts. These improved products enable them to sell in new markets, where they get a better price and earn an increased income. They have plans to start production of even more handicrafts, which will continue to allow them to improve their livelihoods.
எங்களுடைய பரம்பரை தொழில் முப்பிரிக்க நாங்கள் மார்க்கெட்டுக்கு போன டைமில் கயறினால் செய்யக்கூடிய சவுட்டுமத்தை பார்த்து அதை நமக்கும் செய்யக்கூடாது, ஏன் செய்யக்கூடாது என்று நினைத்தோம். அதன் வாயிலாக நாங்கள் கயர் இந்தியா நிறுவனத்தையும் சீடு நிறுவனத்தையும் அணுகி அவங்கள் உதவியோடு கூடி கயர் போர்டின் மூலமாக எங்களின் 20 பெண்களுக்கு சவுட்டுமத்தை செய்கிறதுக்குள்ள ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்தாங்க. தற்பொழுது அண்டை மாநிலமான கேரளாவிலும் எங்களுடைய மேற்று விற்பனை செய்வதற்குள்ள முயற்சிகளில் ஈடுபட்டு கொண்டிருக்கிறோம்.
The Livelihoods Initiative of Coir in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh has reached over 6,000 participants in more than 140 villages over the last 2 years. All these participants are now members of community-based organizations and have better access to the services required for their livelihoods, be it financial, technical, market-related, or access to inputs. Many of them are now using better technology or improved methods of production and marketing than they used to before, making their participation in value chains more effective and efficient. Some communities are involved in new activities altogether and are now earning a living to provide for their households comfortably. While the progress in the lives of these communities is notable, much remains to be done. This initiative has forged the linkages required for these communities to sustain their livelihoods in the future. Coir would seek to use its livelihood expertise to replicate such initiatives all over India and the world. As the work of Coir becomes more focused around 6 of India's poorest states, the implementation of this initiative would provide valuable experience in adapting to the needs of communities in these priority states and designing suitable programs for value chain development in new areas.
We wanted to work in specific sectors to address the pro-poor value chain gaps. And Coir's focus has been primarily to work with the most marginalized people, people who face multiple marginalizations, and they are Irulas, they are Dalits, and they are families headed by women. And while addressing the direct livelihood related issues, we ensure that issues around gender inequity, issues around poor governance, and issues around social exclusion, these issues were addressed through these interventions. Before we kind of exit, we want to ensure that the projects we are doing are sustainable, they are sustained by the community even after Coir leaves, and primarily focusing sustainability in terms of access to livelihood services like microcredit, microinsurance, gaps, addressing gaps, access to market, and all this.